April 26, 1986. Reactor number 4 of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant blew up, spewing radiation onto the northern and western parts of Europe. The Soviets did not inform the world of the disaster until the Swedish Radiation Safety Authority detected the radioactive cloud moving west, its originating tail pointing to the USSR. I remember that day, the day I was exposed to radiation. The following is a true story.
There has been a nuclear accident in the Soviet Union, and the Soviets have admitted that it happened. The Soviet version is this. One of the atomic reactors at the Chernobyl atomic power plant near the city of Kiev was damaged, and there is speculation in Moscow that people were injured and may have died. The Soviets may have been fairly quick to acknowledge the accident because evidence in the form of mild nuclear radiation had already reached beyond the Soviet borders to Scandinavia. We begin with ABC's Dean Reynolds.
The first word that something was seriously wrong came from this power plant in eastern Sweden, where workers coming on the job registered abnormally high levels of radiation on their bodies. Although the levels were not high enough to harm humans and no accident had occurred at that plant, it was shut down. And as tests were conducted, similar puzzling reports of high radiation came in from all over Scandinavia. But still, no accidents were reported, leading to the conclusion that the problem was elsewhere, to the east, in the Soviet Union.
It was a beautiful sunny morning. No clouds, no wind, green trees, chirping birds, colorful flowers everywhere. A perfect spring day. Yet something felt off. That morning started like any other. Classes, break, more classes, then lunch. Sweet. Soccer is more important than science. However, as I walked out onto the school's playground, something was very wrong. Instead of happy kids playing, kids were crying, throwing up, or both. As I was soaking up this picture, I was also soaking up something else. I remember the taste of the air that day. It tasted metallic. By the time I was able to wrap my head around what was going on, I didn't see any of my friends rushing towards me. A teacher approached me and told me to go to the nurse's station. So I did. That solo walk felt like a dead man walking moment in slow motion. All around me, more crying kids. More vomit on the ground. I was scared. As I got to the infirmary, I was given a small sample cup with a fluid and was told to drink it. Nobody asked nicely, they just told me. It tasted awful. It tasted like vomit. But being the brave trooper that I was, I held in the urge to purge it out of my body. Success. The rest of that afternoon is a blur. I remember later eating a sandwich trying to kill the awful taste in my mouth, and the funny feeling in my stomach caused by ingesting that mysterious fluid. School ended early that day. I remember being picked up by my mom and complaining to her about the awful thing they made me drink. She didn't react, didn't explain anything. With panic etched on her face, she grabbed my hand and we started walking home. This is how my fascination with radiation began.
With all the talk of physical survival in the wasteland, you may forget that sometimes it's survival of the smartest. An empty mind is a vessel for knowledge, and intelligence is the key to unlocking opportunity and adapting to your new world above ground.
To answer what happens to the human body during radiation exposure, First, we need to have a basic understanding of what radiation is. Radiation emanates from various sources, both natural and artificial. Cosmic radiation bombards our planet from outer space, originating from distant stars and galaxies. At the same time, terrestrial radiation arises from naturally occurring radioactive materials in Earth's crust, such as uranium and radon gas. Artificial sources of radiation like X-rays and nuclear power plants contribute to our exposure as well. Radiation can be defined as the emission or transmission of energy in the form of waves or particles. There are two primary categories of radiation: electromagnetic and ionizing. Electromagnetic radiation consists of waves of electric and magnetic fields that travel through space. Radio waves, microwaves, visible light, infrared, ultraviolet, X-rays, and gamma rays all fall into this category. Ionizing radiation, the scary one, is a type of radiation that carries sufficient energy to ionize atoms or molecules by causing the ejection of electrons, forming ions. Both X-rays and gamma rays are forms of electromagnetic radiation with high energy and penetrating power. They can pass through body tissue, causing ionization and potential harm to living cells. Alpha particles are emitted by certain types of radioactive materials. While they can be blocked by a sheet of paper or a few centimeters of air, they can cause significant damage if inhaled or ingested. Beta particles are high-speed electrons or positrons emitted during certain types of radioactive decay. They have the ability to penetrate materials and cause ionization. However, they can be shielded by things such as aluminum or plastic. Neutrons, on the other hand, are particles found in the nucleus or core of the atoms. They can cause ionization and pose irradiation risks. Before I proceed any further, we need to get two things out of the way. Firstly, the safe limit of radiation on humans is below 50 millisieverts per year. Secondly, radiation can have varying effects on human health depending on the type of radiation, the dose received, and the duration of exposure. Just like in photography, prolonged exposure to sunlight will fade the picture. If you expose the picture long enough, there will be no picture, just white space. The same applies to radiation. When a person is exposed to massive levels of ionizing radiation, say 5000 millisieverts, whether through nuclear accidents, contact with radioactive materials, or a nuclear blast, the invisible enemy silently infiltrates their body. At the beginning, a person will experience an immediate sensation of intense heat as the ionizing particles penetrate deep into the tissues of the body. The invisible assailant silently attacks the delicate structure of their DNA, setting in motion a cascade of destructive events. At first, the individual may show no immediate signs of distress. However, behind the scenes, radiation wreaks havoc on their cellular structure, disrupting the delicate balance of life within. The affected individual experiences nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. They suffer from extreme fatigue and weakness as their body's defenses struggle. The DNA strands suffer breaks, and the vital repair mechanisms struggle to cope with the overwhelming assault. The result is a destructive chain reaction, leading to widespread cellular dysfunction and cellular death. Next, the bone marrow responsible for producing blood cells succumbs to the destructive effects of radiation. Red and white blood cell counts plummet, leading to anemia and compromised immune system. The body's ability to defend against infections and illnesses diminishes, further accelerating their decline. After that, the gastrointestinal tract falls victim to the ruthless effects of radiation. Severe abdominal pain, dehydration, and profuse bleeding torment the sufferer, leaving them frail and depleted. At this point, terminal radiation sickness inflicts irreversible damage upon the central nervous system. Neurological symptoms arise, including confusion, seizures, and excruciating headaches. The individual's mental faculties gradually deteriorate. Skin becomes sensitive and prone to blistering as the body's natural defenses crumble. The cardiovascular and respiratory systems struggle to provide oxygen and nutrients to the deteriorating tissues. The final stages witness the catastrophic failure of multiple organs. The immune system collapses, rendering the person defenseless against infections. Intense pain, uncontrollable bleedings all over the body, and profound weakness consume the person's existence until the ultimate release arrives. The once vibrant and robust physical form withers away, ravaged by the relentless assault. Total organ failure ensues, leading to respiratory distress, renal shutdown, and cardiac arrest. Ultimately, the body, a mere shell of its former self, succumbs to the relentless progression of terminal radiation sickness. Death becomes an inevitable and merciful release from the unbearable suffering endured during this harrowing journey.
A nuclear blast and the subsequent fallout will have many adverse effects on life as we know it. Intensive, prolonged radiation exposure may transform those above ground into decrepit, rotting beings that have lost their ability to reason.
So how can one protect themselves against radiation when this happens? Stay informed and educated. Know emergency plans and procedures in your area. Know the designated fallout shelters or safe areas nearby. Prepare an emergency kit with essential supplies, including food, water, first aid items, medicine, flashlights, batteries, and battery-powered radio. If a nuclear blast occurs, the immediate action is to seek shelter immediately. Get inside the nearest building, preferably one with thick concrete walls or a basement. Put as much distance and shielding as possible between you and the outside environment. Dense materials like concrete, bricks, and earth can help shield against radiation. Remember, radiation does not zigzag chasing after you. It travels in a straight line. Even if there are spaces between different dense materials, all it matters is that in a straight line, you have as much of it between you and the blast. Do not look at the blast or the fireball, as this can cause severe eye damage. Close all windows and doors to prevent radioactive particles from entering your living space. Turn off heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems to prevent the intake of outside air. If you are in a multi-story building and cannot get to the basement, move to the center of the building and, if possible, on a lower floor. If you have available materials, create layers of protection by placing heavy objects such as furniture against exterior walls. Use the battery-powered radio to listen for emergency instructions from local authorities. Remain sheltered until instructed by authorities that it is safe to leave. Once the immediate threat has passed, follow official guidance on decontamination procedures if necessary. Radiation, with its various forms and sources, is a fascinating yet potentially very hazardous phenomenon that permeates our lives. As our lives continue, keep on top of educating yourself about new developments and emerging trends in the field of radiation safety and preparedness. By doing so, you can minimize potential risk to yourself, your family, and everyone around you. Now, what was that vomit-like tasting medicine I had to ingest? It was potassium iodide, a thyroid-blocking medicine. The thyroid gland needs iodine to produce hormones that regulate the body's energy and metabolism, and it absorbs iodine from the bloodstream, but cannot distinguish between good iodine and radioactive iodine. In children, the thyroid gland is one of the most radiation-sensitive parts of the body. That is why we were forced to drink potassium iodide.
Focus of growing fear, the 40-year-old nuclear plant damaged by the earthquake, its power knocked out. A crucial cooling system disabled with pressure building inside the reactor. Japan declared a state of emergency at the plant.